Heads up on a couple of riffs you're going to use in lessons this week. Again, if you can do the work beforehand, it makes things easier in class. We're going to be working on Don't Let Me Down by the Beatles, remember. We already know that we can get away with almost 2 chords all the way through it anyway. We're in the key of E, but we're going to go up to the F sharp minor. We're going to use that one that we used on the Radiohead song where we're keeping the top 2 strings ringing to create a sort of minor 7th sus4. And then down to the E chord. Okay. Use that if you're on the acoustics and just keeping a steady strum. Got the triplet as well, as they sing Don't Let Me Down. It's a triplet rhythm. If you want, you could always put my thumb on E2 to create the bass note, the F sharp minor if you want. So that's your rhythm guitar part, similar to what John Lennon played in the live versions of the song. Okay. There's a riff though by George Harrison that's kind of integral to the song, so we should probably learn that note for note. It's at the start of it, you hear a bass note, and then you hear this riff. And it's a particularly tasty one. I suspect he's been inspired by Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix liked this inversion of chords. It's a bit like, imagine you've got your E chord shape, but with an A kind of, an A shape, but there's your E chord. But instead of having the root there at the bottom of the chord, you put the 3rd at the top of the chord. And you sort of also play the note slightly behind it to create what sometimes in country music is called a slip note, a little grace note. You quite hammer on and then play the 2 strings above to create a sort of double stop. And all of the riff is based on basically 9, 11, 9, 11 of the A and D string. Can't quite see it because of the way I use my pinky finger to play it. It's basically as individual notes. But it's nice just using 2 fingers. At the end we've got a sort of little sus4. That's the only part that's tricky really. This part sounds good. Use that all around the guitar if you wanted. There it is in D. C. G. It's a nice useful movable shape. So once again, wait for the beat 1 on the bass. 1. Slightly wrong now, play it again. Okay, and then when the singer said Don't Let Me Down, we'll just go to this F sharp minor. It's nice, just let it ring out perhaps like that. Sometimes we'll just hit that chord and leave it ringing, E bassing if you want. Okay, and sometimes if it's the end of the chorus we'll put the full riff in. 2 other little ideas. When we have the verse, it's the same sort of chords but with a different lyrical feel. It goes, nobody ever loved me like she do me. When you hear do me, instead of playing that chord, you'll see George does this in the videos, but he does this kind of cool thing where he plays a high note. We're going to use some double stops. Again, it's a bit Hendrix, a bit Curtis Mayfield, but we'll go. The top 2 notes, and we're going from 14 to 12 to 9. Little kind of gliss slide. We're going to resolve with this chord down here. 3 of them pressed down. If you want, you could put that on fret 6 as well. Okay. It's a form of an E major 7th. But you can get away with just those chords if you want. So the rhythm's sort of, nobody ever told me like she. And if you're a massive Beatles fan, you'd also recognise that's a little bit like some riffs you hear on Band on the Run by Paul McCartney and Wings in the 70s. So these double stops are just kind of nice. You get them in a lot of soul music. We're in the key of E. So that gives you a sort of 6 and 9 of an E kind of, an E 6 9. That gives you an E sixth. That gives you an E major seventh. Sometimes we just use two notes, two high notes or three high notes to kind of just give the shell of the chord. It's a jazz principle, really. Just use the really important notes, and you don't have to worry about all the ones at the bottom end. You've got a rhythm guitar player or bass player playing. So that's what you're going to do on the verse. We might put a guitar solo in the song. And what I want you to do is, there's a magic box. If you're in a major key and it's not very bluesy and you want a fairly sweet solo, you can use a little kind of magic box that's based sort of around where that part of your E chord is. So there's our kind of default position for the key of E, yeah? And we're on, again, a little mini bar on fret 9. And most of the notes, the cool ones, are just in that little box. There's our root. Got this as a little kind of lead in, like an anacrusis. So it might go 1, 2, and have a little kind of run into it. I'll play it again, a 1, 2. And the tasty note's going to be that one, which is G 11, because that's like your second of the scale, and you bend up slightly to the third. It's quite nice with a bit of vibrato. And you can use some of them little doubles, little double stops like in the intro. Some pauses in, just like as if it's like a vocal where you've got to take a breath. You can bend up and hit the B12 if you want. Occasionally hit your sixth, which is up here, that little top knock. And basically, you just try to say more using less notes. Very B.B. King principle. Key notes, those, playing sort of as a run into the song, a 1, 2. Then maybe a little bend and a pause. Pausing on that note, that's the F sharp, so that'll fit over the F sharp. And then something maybe is a bit fancier. Try and find some nice little funky. But how you fill that space will be up to you. See if you can impress me with some improvisations based around basically that little box of notes with that one bend.